I would love to. You know, there's a couple of tools here. And of course, one, I want to thank Mark Angelotti for his work that he's put forward and is going to be putting forward on the Peace Chain. And I look forward to everyone, all of the clubs, becoming peace builder clubs with the Rotary Action Group for Peace. That would be just an amazing thing. So thank you, Mark, for your efforts and your continued efforts on that. So, but with the Peace Chain, it helps us potentially get new members, and it also helps us to connect more to the community. But once we get a new member in, one of the things that they always say is, if you don't engage the member, we're going to lose them. We're going to lose them sometime soon. And that's one of the big things in Rotary is retention. We talk about, you know, that we have 1.2 million Rotarians, and then over the past 10 years, we've lost 1.2 million. So we don't have any problem gaining new members. Big part of it is retention. And of course, Rotary thrives off of service. And getting involved with service, sometimes, particularly as a new Rotarian, the path is not very clear. So the Rainbow Connection is a way to connect new Rotarians and existing Rotarians to service opportunities. So this year, we're asking you and your members, club members, to be a hero. And of course, a hero is not just like, you know, somebody who, you know, jumps out in front of the train and stops it. A hero is a human engaging Rotary opportunities. Sometimes that opportunity is in getting engaged in a literacy program and making a big difference in some child's life, or actually teaching an adult how to read. I mean, what an amazing gift that is. If that's not being a hero, I don't know what is. And then there's these amazing stories. And, you know, and I was actually there where one of these things started. We were in Ethiopia, and this guy comes up to us. He looks so old, I couldn't believe it. He's walking with a big stick, pulling himself along, and he comes up to us and he says this through the interpreter: "Our young women are dying in childbirth. Is there anything you can do about it?" I mean, what do you say? Oh yeah, I got the solution. No, but Rotarians started talking, and they started getting engaged, and they saw an opportunity. And that opportunity, 3 years later, turned into a junior regional hospital serving 30,000 people a year. So those are the kind of things, and when humans engage Rotary opportunities, amazing things can happen. So, but the Rainbow Connection connects the engagement and the opportunities to the rainbow. Is that other slide on here, Rick, that has Maya Angelou? Okay. So on the one side, you see, be a hero, human engaging Rotary opportunities. And, you know, and I kept thinking, oh, that sounds good, that sounds good. And then I heard this YouTube presentation by Maya Angelou. And she talked about all of the clouds, all of the hard times that she had in her life. But inside of every cloud, there was always a rainbow. There was always somebody that came to help her through her hard times. And so she says, prepare yourself to be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud. It's not just be a rainbow. It's like, get yourself ready. Do the work ahead of time. And I know we've got, I see Chuck Parsons there. You know, he's done stuff with emergency preparedness. He doesn't just go out there and be a rainbow. He's been preparing all of his life to be there for that one moment when somebody needs to be saved, right? So you don't send emergency people out with no training, with no forethought. And so we want Rotarians to be able to work together and be thoughtful and create these service projects that can make a big difference. So the Rainbow Connection, and at this point, we have 15 connections, 15, and you know, you think of somebody and say, well, you know, why don't you get involved in Rotary service? And they might say, well, I don't know, what should I get involved with? You could say to somebody, are you hungry? And you say, yeah, what do you want to eat? You say, well, I don't know, what is there to eat? And you say, well, let's see, we got the shrimp scampi, we got spaghetti and meatballs, we've got chicken cacciatore, and you say, you know what, I like that shrimp scampi. I'm going to try that. So now we've got a menu of service opportunities with real experienced Rotarians behind each one of these areas. So, you know, and for instance, we've been getting started with the drug and opioid addiction connection. And that's taking off like crazy. They've been having all kinds of Zoom meetings. They've been proposing different activities that clubs can do, even during this time of physical distancing, social distancing. So each one of these areas, child and maternal health, we've got people that are working on the Days for Girls programs. We've got environmental sustainability. We've got the incredible Richard Wyma from the 1918 Club, who's with IRCA. We've got Bob Burns on the US side, who does all kinds of river navigator things, building artificial shores for fish breeding, and you know, all kinds of different things. And then we also have in that same Rotary Rainbow Connection piece, we've got Gianni DePonio, who does urban farming. So people who have an interest in urban farming and maybe want to get urban farming activities in their district or in their club area can start to do that. I mean, I think that'd be super cool if we developed a huge interest and activity of doing some urban farming throughout our district. So there's so many different things here. You know, I don't have time to go through the whole thing, but this is a way to, from club to club and throughout our district, to gather people with a common interest. And they can gather together to do projects, or they can send the projects back into the individual clubs. You know, I look at food and hunger services. We've got individual clubs that are doing different things in those areas, like backpacks to home or food pantry activities and so forth. If we can gather these people together and get their knowledge compounded and working at a higher level, so much the better. So that's the whole idea behind this. And I look at each one of these and the way they're starting to develop as we attract people with common interest. They're almost turning into little Rotary action groups in our own district. So, you know, I'm looking forward to this as a way to create more engagement and the opportunities for that. And of course, this year, we're saying Rotary opens opportunities, and with the Rainbow Connection, we're telling you what those opportunities are and how we can increase engagement. Any questions?
I got a question. Dave
Sure.
Orris here again. So there's a list of people for under various categories that's listed in our paperwork here.
Yes.
So are those people the go-to people for those sections, or are they examples of people who, and then we're going to add to that list? Or
at this point, those people are acting as the chair people or point people to bring other people in to organize underneath that category. So
gotcha.
that's kind of like the starter. Now, kind of a cool thing that's happening here is we've got the youth services area. And under youth services, we're going to have Youth Exchange, Interact, Rotaract, RILA, and we're looking at developing actually for younger kids that are like in middle school or maybe elementary school, Rotary Youth. So it'll be like a Interact only for younger kids to bring them in. And we're going to be able to get collaboration and communication between each one of these so that with the Interact, we can kind of work to energize RILA. With Youth Exchange, they want more communication with the Interact and the Rotary Youth kids so that we can start working on getting families and kids thinking about Youth Exchange at an earlier age. So there's just so many opportunities to create better conversation about all of this. The other thing I also want to mention, peace and conflict resolution. We've got co-chairs in that area right now. Fred Pearson, of course, famously is a professor at Wayne State University and has done some amazing things putting together peace conferences and so forth. He's got energetic Therese Mangicalda working with him on that. And so they're going to be able to have a platform within the Rainbow Connection to be able to start communicating better with the clubs. So, and bringing in people that have more of a focused interest on peace and conflict resolution.
No, I have a question regarding the Rainbow Connection. So for example, I think one of the areas that we were weak in is going, okay, if somebody wants to go on an international trip or they want to get involved in peace or opioids, things like that, I can take this list now and give it to our members or new members and say, hey, if you have a big interest in this, go ahead and contact that person to get more involved in it. Is that correct?
Exactly. I've got the pamphlet, which is what you're seeing on the screen here.
Okay.
And, you know, that was one of the things a lot of people said, well, how do I get involved with an international trip? So I'm going to let Rick Karen talk about that because he's actually the chairperson for the area on humanitarian, international humanitarian projects. So Rick, if you can comment on that.
Yeah, so actually it makes sense for me because I see all the global grants coming in and the district community grants, and very often they're an indication of the projects that are going on outside of the USA and Canada. Also, we started to try and keep a list on the website of international trip opportunities. And of course, that list is kind of all screwed up now because no one is going anywhere this summer. But yeah, if someone who wants to get involved in an international project or participate in a project that's already being led by another club, let me know, contact me, and I will make the connections for you.
You know, something that you mentioned, like you could see all the international projects online. I wouldn't know where to go find that. So is it under myrotary.org? Is that where I go and just put international projects in it?
Just go to the Rainbow Connection.
You can contact me directly, but it's on our district website under the foundation part, and I think there's a heading that's called International Project Opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Rick,
Yeah.
Paul and Rick, there's just one more intersection I find that, as you know, Shiva Kushik is involved with polio eradication and all the polio and NIDs, National Immunization Days. That
Yes, I'll know about those trips too. If you let me know, then we'll get them on the list to make sure that there's one spot for everyone to get that information.
He's already worked on the blueprint. I mean, he's actually worked on the blueprint for planning polio NIDs and what are the things are needed to get an NID going.
Yeah.
So he's already got that. So
Yeah, wonderful. Again, if you send me the information from whatever projects that anyone knows that their club is going to be doing or someone is going to be doing that involves international travel or an international project opportunity, if you let me know, then I'll get the information out. Every once in a while, we will get it into the news and notes as a refresher, and we'll try and keep it updated on the website.
Yeah. Underneath the Rainbow Connection, towards the bottom, one of the bullet points is polio eradication, and Shiva is the head of that area. So if anyone has specific interest in polio eradication or polio activities, they've got someone to go directly to also.
Can you remind me where I find this Rainbow Connection list?
It's going to be on the website. This is being rolled out for this year. So it's at this point, the committees are starting to exist and they're starting to function, but this is not on the website yet. So
DACDB being the website.
No, that would be Rotary District 6400.
.org. Yeah, DACDB is a database. The website is 6400.org. So just look up.
This is also in DACDB. It exists in DACDB right now.
Including the individuals and that sort of stuff.
Yes, it does. And each one of them has a little narrative underneath each one of the bullet points that explains what their area is working on.
Terrific. Thank you.
Is it possible to get these cards somewhere? No?
It is. They're actually sitting right behind me right now.
All right, good. I want to stack.
So yeah, I've got care packages that I'm going to be assembling,
Okay.
and so that it'll be for all of your club members. You know, like for the official visit, typically the thing I would have brought with me in my car and lugged into the meeting room. I'm going to be assembling care packages, putting them together, and then having the assistant governors deliver them to the individual club presidents, and then everything in the care packages will have to be dispersed from the club president to the club members, which I would say get your board to divide up and deliver them to different people.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.